When the James Webb Space Telescope launched earlier this year, it turned its attention to Mars. A month later, no one expected to witness what came next. For days, the telescope had been monitoring 3I Atlas, the mysterious crossing of an interstellar object through our solar system, a distant visitor from space that had previously defied all known laws of physics. But during its closest approach to the red planet, something struck it. At first, NASA believed it to be a glitch, a cosmic ray, or an error in the image. However, as the facts became abundantly clear, this was no error. The James Webb had captured a direct hit, an unidentified factor colliding with 3I Atlas, releasing a powerful surge of energy whose afterglow was visible for hours. What hit it? How did it get there? And why, immediately after the collision, did the object's behavior begin to alter in ways that left scientists with no explanation? The first images arrived in fragments, frames captured by Webb's near-infrared camera over a duration of 3 minutes. In them, 3I Atlas appeared perfectly stable, its faint emerald glow pulsing rhythmically as it sailed close to Mars's orbital path. Then, without warning, a blinding flash of light appeared from its lower hemisphere. A sharp rise in light that lasted only a fraction of a second, but was bright enough to saturate Webb's detectors. The light had no natural source. It wasn't sunlight reflected off it, nor the typical cometary outgassing. Rather, spectroscopic measurements revealed a sudden increase in gamma radiation, powerful enough to ionize nearby gas and create a sphere-shaped shockwave expanding rapidly outward. Within seconds, the three-colored area surrounding Atlas began to twist and distort, forming spirals before vanishing completely. Then, as abruptly as it had appeared, the light vanished, leaving behind a dim metallic shadow where the object once stood. Scientists initially believed it to be a small asteroid collision, but the energy signature did not match. The flash wasn't kinetic. It was electromagnetic, the kind caused by enormous magnetic fields colliding. Atlas was not struck by whatever hit it physically. It was struck energetically. Hours after the impact, analysts examining the raw Webb data revealed something strange hidden in the frames before the explosion. A faint streak of infrared light approaching 3I Atlas from above the atmosphere of Mars. The trajectory did not correspond to any known asteroid or debris orbiting Mars. It came in fast, decelerating just before contact as if under intelligent control. The streak, when magnified, revealed a group of smaller points moving in formation, not random fragments but rather a pattern. Some suggested it was a natural meteor horde. Others, however, noticed that each point moved with precise geometric spacing, a triangular array keeping the same distance as it descended. Moments prior to the flash, the array contracted into a single point of light, directly aligned with the heart of 3I Atlas. After that, the detonation. Afterward, the formation was gone. Traces were detected by Webb's spectrometers of ionized nickel and cobalt drifting outward. Elements we already knew were in the bizarre 3I Atlas composition. However, their ratios were now inverted, as if the collision had rearranged the interior structure of the object. Whatever struck it did not damage or destroy it. It altered it. A long pause followed the impact, filling the data streams for nearly 3 hours. During that time, 3I Atlas produced no observable light, no radiation, and no movement. It was as though the object had completely stopped. Then, 21 hours after the James Webb detected it, a single repeated pulse emerged. A faint hum in time with the signal that had previously been linked to 3I Atlas's electromagnetic activity. But the pulse had changed this time. It was not just a simple beat with a rhythm, but now carried modulation. Subtle variations in intensity and timing that, when turned into sound frequencies, resembled a coded transmission. The pulse was not erratic. It repeated in sequences of prime numbers, 3, 5, 7, 11, too planned and mathematical to be natural. Even more intriguing was where the signal seemed to emanate from. Not 3I Atlas itself, but from its immediate surroundings, as if the area around it had transformed into a vibrational extension of the object, with the same resonance. NASA refused to comment, but leaked internal memos characterized the incident as a reconfiguration of electromagnetic unknown intent. The conclusion was staggering. The impact had activated 3I Atlas. Mars began to react within days of the collision. Spacecraft from NASA and the ESA began to report irregular magnetic readings from across the planet's upper atmosphere. The anomalies intensified each time 3I Atlas flew above, causing the magnetosphere to shake with waves that grew in size like ripples across a pond. Even the thin Martian ionosphere began to glow faintly green again, the identical hue as before the impact. But this time there was something new. Faint geometric patterns appearing within the glow, hexagonal and perfectly symmetrical, rotating slowly across the night sky. When the James Webb focused on them, it discovered that these formations weren't static lights. They were projections, energy reflections in sync with the steady pulse emanating from 3I Atlas. The entire planet appeared to be responding to the object's frequency. After that, for the first time, a secondary object appeared in the Webb's infrared array. A tiny, faintly reflective body orbiting dangerously close to 3I Atlas. It hadn't been there previously. It had an irregular shape. However, one side shone brighter than the rest, as though it were facing the interstellar visitor directly. Scientists called it a fragment. Others called it a probe. Whatever it was, it had come alive after the impact, and it was interacting. After the collision, NASA expected any debris to naturally disperse, carried by solar wind and gravitational turbulence. But the newly discovered fragment did not move. It remained perfectly aligned with 3I Atlas, locked at a fixed distance of just over 500 kilometers, mirroring each movement the object made as though shackled by an invisible force. Spectroscopic measurements revealed that the metallic coating covered the surface of the fragment. The compounds were identical to those of the 3I Atlas with one important distinction. It was emitting heat. Contrary to the cold, dormant shell of the main object, the fragment gave off a constant infrared signature that briefly pulsed every 21 seconds, in accordance with the larger body. The James Webb Telescope sensors showed that the piece's pulse was not erratic. Each release perfectly aligned with the magnetic fluctuations Mars had been subject to. Any energy that the 3I Atlas had absorbed during the impact now flowed into the fragment, as if the impact had split it into interconnected halves. For some researchers, the damage appeared to be a form of recovery or replication to others. Either way, the system was stabilizing, reorganizing itself without anyone able to describe how. After a few days, a bizarre phenomenon began spreading across Mars. The planet, monitored by orbiters, detected electromagnetic waves causing interference, sweeping through the upper atmosphere in bursts that were synchronized. These bursts weren't directly from the 3I Atlas. They had arrived from Mars itself, echoing the object's energy pattern like a planetary mirror. Earth's ground-based instruments confirmed that a bouncing signal from Mars' frequency had changed, becoming stronger and more organized, like a different version of the transmission. Mars, though, doesn't have the atmosphere or technology to amplify radio waves, but it was broadcasting here, not randomly, but rhythmically in the same 21-second segments. If the waveform was isolated, the pattern of harmonic resonance aligned with fabricated encoding. The likelihood was chilling. There had been no collision near Mars recently to update the 3I Atlas. It had transformed the planet into some form of an electromagnetic reaction. The reddish skies over Mars began to shimmer again, very faintly across the infrared spectrum. The entire system, including the 3I Atlas, Mars, and the fragment, appeared to be communicating in a synchronized, cyclical loop. When scientists pushed the James Webb Telescope to its limits, scanning the 3I Atlas in hyperspectral mode, they discovered something that shouldn't exist. Beneath the surface of the object, faint internal geometry emerged, structures in the shape of concentric hexagonal rings, like the inner lattice of a metallic core. The impact had fractured part of the outer shell, revealing hints of what lay beneath. The measurements revealed metallic density variations too regular to be natural. There was no solid rock here. It was a layered composite created by engineering, with conductive and insulating materials alternating like circuitry on a planetary scale. The fragment in nearby orbit revealed the same internal layering, but with the outermost layer missing, exposing what appeared to be reflective material in the form of coils, possibly the source of its infrared emissions. If this were true, the 3I Atlas was doing more than just reacting to the impact. It was reshaping itself, like a broken machine repairing or rewriting its own structure. Possibly the most disturbing discovery was that the Webb's instruments detected a faint gravitational distortion around the fragment, a localized anomaly, suggesting movement of energy within its interior, pulsing in tune with the main object in Mars. The system was alive, connected, and adapting. The moment came when no one could explain. At precisely 0317 UTC, the fragment's thermal emissions increased exponentially, saturating the Webb's sensors and temporarily overloading its primary spectrometer. The heat signature was so intense that even the Martian orbiters detected it through the planet's thin atmosphere. In just a few minutes, the entire system, the 3I Atlas, the fragment, and Mars's upper ionosphere, lit up in infrared wavelengths, creating an expanding ring visible all the way from Earth's telescopes. However, what shocked scientists wasn't the light, it was the sound. Deep space radio observatories began picking up a low-frequency hum, resonating in varied frequencies, repeating every few seconds. The pattern matched the object's electromagnetic pulse but carried a new modulation, one that, when translated to audio, resembled complex layers of harmonic tones. The hum wasn't static. It was evolving, like an algorithm refining itself through repetition. Then, as suddenly as it started, the light went out, and all instruments fell silent. The last thing recorded by the Webb before the blackout was a shockwave of energy, not radiating outward from the fragment, but inward toward the 3I Atlas, followed by a flurry of activity. The interstellar object, dormant for weeks, was now accelerating again, but not toward the horizon. It had veered off course. Its new trajectory pointed straight back toward Mars. As the 3I Atlas redirected its course toward Mars, the Deep Space Network went into alert. Tracking data showed the object accelerating with eerie precision, not exponentially like a comet under gravitational influence, but linearly, as if driven by internal control. Within days, its velocity stabilized, perfectly calibrated to match the planet's orbit. What frightened scientists most wasn't just its movement, but its alignment. Each night, as the James Webb Telescope monitored from its vantage point at L2, the object's path traced a flawless arc around Mars, forming a stable orbit synchronized with the planet's rotation, an action no natural object could achieve. The fragment followed in its wake, maintaining a formation similar to a satellite and its parent. Observations from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter revealed a new phenomenon, a thin circular cloud forming around Mars's equator.